All right, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to apply paper and glue stick resist using thick blended slip. I'm starting out by playing around with some just computer paper folded in half, creating a line of symmetry, and playing around with some of the shapes that I could choose to apply to my leather hard form. That one I didn't really like, so I'm continuing on and experimenting with another form. This is just folded computer paper and scissors. Take a time to play around with things that you might like. You can explore different options. It doesn't have to be just one thing on each side. You could do stripes, you can do dots, you can do layered things, you can do crisscrosses, you can do squiggles. You could cut out any shape that you want. I like folding and creating a line of symmetry so that I can create multiples. For this one, I folded the piece of paper over 4 times, so I actually was able to get 4 of the same thing because my piece is 4-sided. Now I'm laying it out, and I'm going to take a glue stick and just apply just enough glue to get it to stick to my piece securely. I don't want to get glue anywhere that I'm not going to be applying the paper, but if I make a mistake, I can scooch it over. Now I want to make sure it has a really good seal against the piece. If it doesn't seal well against the piece, your surface, in this case we're doing thick slip, but it could also be a technique that you use later with underglazes or with glazes. If you don't make a really nice tight seal with the glue and press it on very well, you usually will end up getting some of that underneath your resist paper. This is a technique that also works with stickers. It also works with tape. It works with anything as long as you can get it to stick to your piece. And this is again done at the leather hard stage. When you're gluing, I recommend doing the gluing on top of a piece of paper so you don't have to clean your table. It gets pretty gooky. You don't need to wait for this to dry before you move on to the next step, which will be applying the slip. The slip that I'm using in this video, I have taken just some normal slip and waited for the water to settle on the top, poured off that water, and then used an immersion blender to blend the slip to an even consistency. If I didn't blend it, it would be pretty chunky, and that would be a very different look. If you're going for that look, that's a different thing. But for this project in particular, we are going to use the smooth blended slip. You can apply it with your hands. You can apply it with a rib tool. I recommend starting with your hands, though, because you want it to go on about as thick as frosting. And you're going to put it everywhere. You could choose to do it so that it has the impression of your fingers, like I have here. You could also smooth it using your fingers, a rib tool, or a paintbrush. You do want it to be on as thick as frosting, though, so don't use any of those things to remove it. I'm using a texturized rib here to create ridges on the piece, which I think will look interesting with the way that the glaze will fall on it once I'm at that stage. So I'm just experimenting here and trying to get the lines to be the way that I would like them to be before I ultimately let it dry to about leather hard and then remove the paper from my piece. It does not stay on during firing. And if I let my piece get bone dry with them on, they might start to peel, but you wouldn't get as clean of an edge as you would if you remove it when it's leather hard. There's the rib I used. Here I am drying it. I probably dried it for about 30 minutes. It should be to the point where when you touch the piece, you don't smush it at all. So you want your slip to be leather hard. So you can just use a pin tool or something sharp to get a little bit of an edge coming off. And once it's leather hard, you can really see, where your stuff is, and it will come off pretty easily. If you try to do it when your piece is wet, you won't usually get as good of line quality. And here you can see the smooth texture is revealed underneath.